Hey guys, what is going on? And welcome back to a brand new Anfield Talk podcast. I am your host Ben, and today I am joined by Dylan. How are you, mate?
Yeah, hi there, Ben. It's good to be back on the podcast. It's been such a great month to be a Liverpool fan. And now we're entering the last month of the season where so much can happen. So many players' legacies on the line. I'm so up for it. I can't wait, honestly.
Yeah, mate, it's been such a good last 2 weeks or so, hasn't it? But we'll get into it and the reasons as to why we're also happy right now. But we've also got Connor joining me once again. How are you, mate?
Yes, mate. All good. Thank you for having me back in. I'll reiterate it. What a month to be a Liverpool fan and so much still left on the line. So yeah, looking forward to the next month or so and what it will bring.
Absolutely, mate. And I'm just cheekily watching Fulham versus Luton on the sly whilst we're recording, and Fabio Carvalho's just scored a beautiful
Carvalho
goal.
what? No
Yeah,
way. Okay, that's
he's just
brilliant.
got a really nice goal. So just thought I'd start off by that. Lovely little flick by Harry Wilson, to be fair, and it's a lovely composed finish from Carvalho. So a goal made in
Chelsea
Liverpool, some
connection
would
there.
say. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But we'll get on
perfect
to
timing.
Fabio. Yeah, we'll get on to Fabio. I'm sure at some point in this pod. I don't know if we've spoken about him before, haven't we? But yeah, it's all done, and he will be a Liverpool player in the summer. So yeah, just looking forward to the announcement, really. But boys, first things first. Liverpool have just beaten Newcastle United 1-0 away from home. I'm just going to come to you boys quickly to start things off from like the beginning. So Dylan, I want to hear from you first. When the lineup came out, because a lot of people, I don't know if you get involved in spaces that much, but I host with Aaron on the Anfield Talk, and we had so many people coming in saying, "Why is he playing Joe Gomez at right back? Why is Milner playing? Has Klopp lost his mind? Blah blah blah." And I was just like, guys, chill. Like the game's not even kicked off, and like Klopp signed a new deal 3 days ago, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, we'll trust this man forever." Blah 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 blah. And then as soon as he rotates the squad drastically, everyone's crying again. So how did you feel about that lineup, and was you confident that the team he picked to play Newcastle in a must-win game was going to get the job done?
I think it was a mixture of a few things, to be honest, Ben. First of all, people just have this thing now with James Milner after the Chelsea game when we bottled a 2-0 lead. They just have a thing with him starting games, like rather than him being that sub that comes on in the 70th minute. And then, second of all, of course, Newcastle, they were like seriously on form and we were playing at their ground. So, and um, to be honest, I wasn't really that nervous when the lineup came out, especially with Joe Gomez at right back. I'm really starting to trust him there. I don't know about you guys, but I think he is providing some great depth, like really, really great performance, really solid. I was actually really impressed with him, to be honest. But that's the thing, guys. You guys just have to back Klopp with these decisions. We're past that stage now in January where we were bottling leads. We now have such control of games. Like we can go to Newcastle's pretty much fortress at the moment and be in cruise control. Because to be honest, they didn't really test us that much. It was just outcome bias of them scoring an offside goal and people saying, "All right, they dominated us. They deserve to get results." But yeah, what did you guys think of the lineup?
Yeah, so I'll go after Connor's given his thoughts and feelings, and yeah, I'll wrap up. So yeah, same thing with you, mate. Like I just mentioned, people weren't happy with Gomez for whatever reason, and Milner and Salah obviously not starting. But are you the same? Did you feel like whatever team Klopp puts out, we're gonna get the job done, or did you have any
Yeah, I'm
nerves?
in that now. We're just in that sort of form where whichever team that Klopp puts out, I just know we're going to get the job done because these players right now are putting 110% into every single game. It doesn't feel real that like we can just play midweek in a semi-final, like win 2-0, then go to Newcastle, one of the most informed teams in the league right now, in their stadium, and then be in cruise control, like dominate the game. Yeah.
Yeah, and Connor, your thoughts, mate?
I completely agree. I think we spoke about it before the podcast we started. There's that sense of nerves because we made 5 changes from Villareal on the Wednesday, and you're coming up against a Newcastle side that has the third best form currently behind obviously us and City. Gomez, I'm not that worried about. I've always said that I've always been an avid believer that Gomez is good at right back. I think Milner wasn't a problem to me either because man's 30. I believe it's 36. I believe I'm not. I
Mhm.
keep always forget.
36.
But he's such an amazing athlete and such an amazing character that as soon as he steps on the field for us, he'll get the job done. The only thing that I sort of thought about before the game was, Newcastle had won 6 consecutive home games at St James's Park before they come up against us. And it's always that sort of doubt in the back of your head, yes, they've got the backing now, they've got the money, and they've got all these things that will make them into a good side in 5, 10 years to come. So it was always in the back of my head, that's a game where they want to prove that it's not just money, that they can win games, they can get results. But we done the job. It was always sort of a given. They pressed early. They put a lot of pressure on us. We made a few mistakes in the early stage of the game, but when you think about how composed Naby Keita was with the goal, and obviously I'm sure we'll get into that, you sort of knew as soon as he scored that goal, you thought, okay, we're in the running here. It's now we can either sit back and let them press, or we could keep going. And we showed in phases that we kept going at them, and we were just unlucky to not score. Really, it was chances that sort of went begging as such.
Yeah, I agree. There's a few chances that stick out from the top of my head. A couple from Mane. There was a Jota header, I think. The Salah counter attack on another day, he scores from that. So, yeah, we could have easily scored by, won by 1-1, sorry, and we probably should have. But I did predict a 1-0 win. I thought it was going to be exactly the game we got. But yeah, I agree with everything you guys have said. When the lineup came out, I said, if this man has not gained your trust at this point, like he never will, because he's earned the license to put whatever team he wants out there for me, and I'll back it. Like Barcelona, we had Origi and Shaqiri leading our attack, and we won 4-0. So it was from that day really where I just thought, you know what, whatever Klopp wants to do from now on, I don't care. He can do whatever he wants. And the changes he made, I understood them anyway. Gomez coming in for Trent. Like, Trent's played probably, from the top of my head, 95% of our games this season. And you've got two Champions League games, two very important Champions League games either side. So, I wouldn't say I expected him to be dropped for that game, but I could see it coming. Same with Salah. And the Milner one was a surprise, to be fair. I'll give them that. But even then, like, okay, we don't necessarily want Milner to be starting games for us consistently, but if he comes in for the odd game away at Newcastle, Milner knows how important that game is, and obviously he knows Newcastle well from his time there when he was a lot younger. So look, I don't care. Like, Milner was exceptional as well, by the way. He made some people eat their words,
He's man of the match.
pretty much. Yeah, he was their man of the match. Don't think he was my man of the match, and I don't think he was Liverpool's man of the match. But like Connor said, we will
Yeah,
get
I
on to
agree.
that. But Milner was, yeah, he rolled it back to, or ran it back as they say, to like 16, 17 James Milner. So yeah, he was exceptional. But like I say, whatever team Klopp puts out now, like, we're getting to the business end of the season. You just got to trust him, and I did trust him, and I can just go out there with my head held high and say that I never doubted this one. I'm sure you boys never did either. So yeah, that's all on that. But um, yeah, who did you guys think were the top performers in this game to get us this win? Because obviously we've got to talk about the goal scorer, right? Naby Keita. He's had his critics amongst Liverpool fans, which I think has been ridiculous, and I've been very vocal on that. I've argued with Liverpool fans for years now about Naby Keita. Oh, sell him. He's not good enough. Blah blah blah. If you think this guy's not good enough, and Dylan, I'm going to come to you, mate. If you think Naby is not good enough for this team, like, you're a bit silly, right?
No, exactly. He's one of my favorite Liverpool
Yeah.
players, to be honest, ever since he's joined the club. It hurts that he hasn't got to hit the level that we wanted to so far. But right now, it feels like it's starting to click. It started clicking at the end of the 2018-19 season, but then he had that injury against Barcelona. But
Yeah.
I just feel like it's really starting to click now with him. I don't know about you guys, but just the form he's showing and the availability as well, which he's really struggled with over the past 2 years. That's starting to show now as well. He's actually becoming a reliable central midfielder to partner Thiago with. And before we were talking about Klopp was using Thiago and Keita to like accommodate each other for fitness, but now we can actually play them together because they are being really reliable when it comes to match minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you say, we look. I'm one of the biggest Naby Keita fans, you'll come across. Like you say, ever since he came in, I've been a big fan of him. I was so excited when he came in, and when we were linked with him, I started watching Leipzig games, thinking this guy is ridiculous. And obviously, the injuries haven't helped him at all. Don't get me wrong; I'm not going to sit here and say that he's been the most consistent player in the world since he's come, but I do feel like his injuries have stopped him from doing that. And when he has played, pretty much more often than not, he has been brilliant, and he has put in good performances. But Connor, yeah, Naby Keita, mate. I mean, now that we are seeing him getting games consistently, do you feel like he's almost not undroppable, but a big role to play in this Liverpool side?
Yeah, definitely. I think he's probably the man behind the main three, as such as people call it. Obviously, you've got Thiago, Fabinho, Anderson. When he's injury free, and he's had a largely injury free calendar year, he's been exceptional. And he does ask the question of, with that 2-0 head start that we have against Villareal in the week, he may get a look into start. It's never been a concern about the ability of Katie, when he was at Leipzig, like you, Ben. I watched a few games, I watched a few clips of him, and he was incredible to watch. He's a very nice player. He's very good at the ball, and the way he sat Dubravka down on Saturday, it did make me. I was sat in the car and I got a few goosebumps the way how calm he was, and
Yeah.
you see players, you know, who aren't as experienced or aren't as talented as that will crumble in that situation. As soon as he beats Dubravka, he's still got a lot to do. I think they had three people on the line when he shot. And that takes a lot of guts and a lot of confidence and such. And you can see the confidence flowing through him now. There's times in the year where he hasn't been as confident. He's taken his time to grow into games. He's struggled on occasions, but you can see the confidence now in this man, and you can see that he's starting to develop into a footballer that will work well for us moving forward. He's one of the players that I really want to keep hold of in the summer. I don't want to see him leave. We could talk about our midfield all day long. I think our midfield is probably the best in the league at the moment, and I know City have a great midfield as well. But just the consistency of us this year has been phenomenal, and it all comes down to that midfield role. And obviously, when Thiago was out injured, he come in, he played well, and the rotation of that midfield is so good. And I think for me, there were so many players on Saturday who had good games. Andy Robertson and Luis Diaz, two to mention as well, who were phenomenal. I mean, Diaz is just, if we didn't grab him in January, it might have been a completely different story. But no, Keita was exceptional on Saturday, and I think he definitely now gets a look in to start tomorrow.
Yeah, mate, I second everything you've said, and I just hope he gets a new deal. To be fair, because there's been a lot of talk of new players getting new deals. I think Milner's the most recent one that's come out the last couple of days. I really hope he gets one, and I think he's deserving one after this season. I'm touching wood when I say this, but he's staying fit, which is the main thing with Naby. Like Klopp said it in his press conference today, the ability in this lad was never a problem. And I've been saying that to so many people, like on spaces and, just on social media, but they've been
And
always
you
telling
people
me
just have a
like,
problem with his
yeah,
ability
that's the
when it's
thing.
really
Like,
his availability.
exactly, mate, you've nailed it. And I've been telling them like, please just give this lad a chance. Like, I know his injuries are frustrating, and I've never denied that. I've always said if you don't want him because he's injured all the time, then that's a fair statement. Like, I kind of agree. However, you cannot say that he's not good enough for this club, because what he's doing right now with Thiago, it's unreal, and it's getting us through games when we didn't have these guys. And I always use this one as an example: the Brighton game when Naby was on the pitch, we were 2-0 up, we was cruising the game. Naby gets injured, Oxlade-Chamberlain comes on, and then we capitulate, and the midfield is literally non-existent anymore. Like, they literally walked through our midfield for the rest of the game. And all the games this season that we've drawn or we've lost in, if you look at the midfield, most of them haven't had Thiago or Naby in there. So that's just a thought to think about. And these guys are, like I said, they're showing us that they've kind of got over their fitness issues. Again, I'm touching wood when I say this, because I don't want to jinx
Same good.
anything. But yeah, they're playing pretty much every week now, at least one of them, or even sometimes both of them, which is really good when we see that. But yeah, I'm very excited for these guys, and obviously to add to that, midfield selection next summer, hopefully, which we'll get onto later, will be unreal as well. Just one more player I want to talk about from this game, which somebody mentioned earlier, Joey G at right back.
Yeah.
Dylan, if Joe Gomez is happy to play this role, which we don't know if he is, we don't know if he's going to want to play more minutes, start for a team every week. But do you think like he's the perfect player to be Trent's understudy?
I just feel like these past 2 games that he's played at right back is to fill into Trent. Watford, he got that crucial first assist after we were like on the ropes a bit, and then against Newcastle, he really saw out the game maturely, I believe. I want to just talk about his mentality though, because I really do think it's underappreciated and not talked about. He was the centre back partnership to Van Dijk, 2018, 2019. He got a huge injury. Players that don't come back from this injury, but he did, and then he led us to the title in 2019 and 2020. When Van Dijk and Gomez win that centre back partnership, we did not concede. Like we conceded 3 goals in that time when he came back into the side. He then got injured again towards the end of the season, and then when he finally had the chance to step out of Van Dijk's shadow, some absolute prick on the in England like injured him, and Gareth Southgate described it as career-ending potentially. He's then come back and has now reinvented himself as a right back. I really feel like it should be talked about more how someone's mentality is so good to come back from all these injuries, and it's obvious now he's not going to fulfill his potential, but he's coping well. And as you said, Ben, I do think he can reinvent himself into that position at right back.
Yeah, mate. It's just like I say, the case of whether he wants to do that. Obviously, Gomez has fallen out of favour with the England squad a little bit since his injuries, and I'm not sure if that's going to get him back in. So my only thing with Gomez is if he wants to play internationally, if he wants to get back in that setup, because I can't help but think, and Connor, I want to get your thoughts on this. If he's fit, right? If you look at the players that are getting into the England setup, Harry Maguire, Connor Cody, just to name 2. Joe Gomez is easily as good, if not much better than those 2, right? So, do you think that? Are you worried basically that he might want to leave, or do you think that he could be happy to stay here and be called upon when he's needed to?
I've read an article this morning when I woke up, and it was talking about obviously his links with Villa and being with Steven Gerrard.
Yeah.
And I don't think it would be a green light on our databases, but obviously they said that it wasn't looking as if he was going to go to Villa. It looked like he was going to stay here unless a club that could offer him European football come in. It's always hard to talk about a player that's come back from injury because, and like Dylan said, and like you reiterated as well, the attitude of a player when they come back from injury is really what determines how that person's going to play. If you come back from injury and you're all, oh, worries me, I've been through this massive injury, and you never really get back to the standard that you were playing, you struggle. He's not in the England contention mainly because of his injury, but also the fact that he is not. I don't believe he's getting the minutes to get his England contention. Now, if he's happy with being being and bringing the impact that he brings, then so be it. But he has to think about. I think what he has to think about long term is, does he want to play for England? If he goes into England as a right back, and Southgate sees him as a right back, how much international football would he play? When you've got the likes of Kieran Trippier obviously at Newcastle, and you've obviously got our main man, Trent. Does he get in that side? And then you think as well, the position that Maguire has at Man United, being club captain, does he get in front of him? Probably not at the moment. And then Connor Cody, as you mentioned as well, Wolves captain. Do you get in front of leaders like that when you only get the minutes that you get? Obviously, Dylan said his game against Watford and the assist that he got, and he's played well. And it's nice to see in short spells that we've seen him since he's come back that he is performing well and he's playing well, and you bring him into a side and you don't feel that sense where you're like, oh no, Joe Gomez is playing. You say to yourself, yeah, Joe Gomez is playing and we're happy with that. What people are forgetting is that we've lost 3 games since November. That's it. We lost to West Ham, we lost to Leicester, and we lost all season. Sorry, yeah, exactly.
All season, yeah.
We lost to Leicester, and we lost to West Ham, obviously, unfortunately, and that game against Inter. But that's not important, It's hard for a player of his caliber to come into a side that are doing so well and they're performing week in, week out, and are making us feel the best we've ever felt as a Liverpool fan. There's not many people of our generation and of our age who can say they've seen a better Liverpool side than this. Obviously, you can talk about your Steven Gerrard, the Luis Suarez, the generation that we had there, but I believe at the moment this side is the best side that I've ever seen, and probably the best side my dad's ever seen. And he's what, 40, and he said it himself.
Yeah.
Obviously I've gone off on a tangent a little bit there, but it all depends on his mentality and his attitude. I believe the Klopp extension will turn players' heads, not just the players that we have currently, but the players that are looking to come to Liverpool. I think when and what clubs get wrong is they put players above the manager. Where with our situation and where we're from and where we sort of are good is that no one is bigger than Klopp. When you have people and figures like your Ronaldo, how many times do we talk about Ronaldo and not Ragnick? There's more conversations about a player than there is a manager. Here, it's about a manager, and no one's higher than the manager. And I think that's important to think about as well when we think about players that will renew their contracts. Keita, I really hope he does. Gomez, I hope we keep him because he's a great squad rotational player, and he's good for us moving forward. And there's always that you can depend on him, like you can depend on your Naby Keitas, your James Milners, and obviously the front three that we've got, and then the product behind that. I think, I really hope he stays. Obviously, if the Villa situation's true and that he doesn't want to leave, then it's very positive for us moving forward, and it's a great time to be a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, absolutely. You're spot on, especially about the Klopp extension, which we've not really touched on much. But yeah, I feel like that's massive in terms of the uncertainty. Like, even as fans, not just the players, but we've been sat here thinking, like, what the heck's going to happen after? Is Gerrard going to come in? Is it going to be Pep Lingers? Is it going to be somebody we've not even thought about? But now we don't even have to think about that for another 5 years. So it's really good to have that, security, like I say. And in terms of the players, then I agree. Like, maybe there was a reason Salah's not signed a deal yet. Maybe, this is going to be a decisive factor. That he's going to feel
He
safe with
said
Klopp being around.
said it's like not down to money, it's down to something else, and this could
Yeah.
generally be it.
Yeah,
Definitely,
and
yeah.
we all hope it, and we all hope that maybe like after the season, because I wouldn't expect things like that to be announced now. I think the Klopp thing was amazing timing, and maybe it was planned by the club to announce that, and then just see the fans believe even more, the fans embrace the manager and the team even more, and just have this sense of positivity flowing amongst the camp. I think that was something they may have looked at, and it was unbelievable timing. I mean, the day that happened. Um, the morning I woke up and Paul Joyce had written something that Liverpool are starting to hold talks about it, and then 6 hours later it was signed, sealed, delivered. And I want to get your guys' opinion on this. We haven't got this in the notes, but I just thought it would be good for a minute or two to just say like how much we adore this man and how happy and relieved we are that he's going to stay. So Dylan, where was you when you saw this news, and how excited was you when you read it?
I was at work, to be honest. I just saw my phone. Twitter explodes. Like, everyone's talking about Jurgen Klopp. Like, what's happened? What's happened? And then I look, and then I see Paul Joyce has tweeted. I'm like, I'm honestly so happy because if we're looking at it beforehand, he was going to be leaving in 2024, and there was no like I could not really see a plan afterwards. But 2026, man, it's just amazing. So many more trophies to be won, so many more memories to be made with Jurgen Klopp, and like he's now up there with like our greatest managers. To be honest, he will forever be remembered. Like, in my opinion, he deserves a statue outside Anfield, or even a stand should be named after him at this point.
I
He's
agree.
made us believe again. He's like changed everything at this club. To be honest, we went from eighth, failing club, not really achieving what we should be at, for the size of this club, to the best team in the world, pretty much.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree, mate. And yeah, it was just incredible how like that news lifted my mood, and like for
It
that,
was after we won in the semi-final of Champions League as well. I think, and then on
yeah.
top of that, we had the links with the other players as well, which we'll get into. But just it was such a good morning after such a great performance and results.
Yeah, absolutely. And Connor, what about you, mate? Like, where was you when you read the news? And yeah, did it lift your mood just like it did with ours?
I had a very busy night the night before, and I was doing a lot of uni work, so I went to bed quite late, and I woke up the next day to a call, and it was a call from my mates who I've known for years now, and we've obviously grew up together watching Liverpool, and I just heard him singing, "I'm so glad that Jurgen is a Red," and come on, we've been through this now. Why are you calling me? He goes, "Have you not seen the news?" I go, "No, I've just woke up," and he goes, "Oh, Klopp signed a new deal." And instantly I shot up out of bed and I ran straight to my PC. My phone wasn't near me. Obviously, I had my phone on me, but I was so shocked about it. And it was, you had that sort of thing in the back of your head that he loves the club. You'd think he'd stay, but you just didn't know if it was going to happen. And for not just him, but all his staff to stay on as well. Yeah, it's a great time for it to come out as well, especially when we're pushing for the quadruple, which we're still obviously all dreaming about. Yeah, it's come at a great time, and like I said earlier, it will have a massive impact on the next 3 or 4 years with new players coming in and players staying on, and obviously like Dylan said as well, this Salah contract, I think we will see now because of the re-addition of Klopp.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like you make a great point, and that's a great segue into the next topic. Players coming in. In that same article written by Paul Joyce, there was a couple of players mentioned that Liverpool are supposedly interested in. One of them being Aurelien Chouameni, and the other one being Jude Bellingham. And I feel like out of the two, the one that seems to be more dominant in the media and that people are talking about the most is Chouameni for this summer at least. And like you say, I think Klopp will be a decisive factor in these players coming to us because we know that there's a lot of clubs after Chouameni. I think Real Madrid want him. There's a few reports saying that they're not in the race now, but I still wouldn't count them out. I think Chelsea were looking at him at one point, and now apparently, according to Fabrizio Romano, Manchester United are interested. So I feel like, in terms of him and where he goes, it comes down to two or three factors. One of them being, do you want to play games and earn not play games, but play every single game and earn the highest wage? Because if so, obviously Man United is probably the club for you, but then you're not going to achieve much, especially in the state they're in now. Or do you want to come be part of a project, still play a lot of football because we know how much Klopp rotates the midfield, and compete for all the big trophies in the world under the best manager in the world and still get a very, very good wage. And again, like we say, I think Klopp's going to be a huge role in that. So we haven't had a podcast since this news came out. So, guys, Dylan, do you know much about Aurelien Chouameni? And if so, do you see him being a fit for us?
To be honest, I haven't researched or heard much of Chouameni outside of Twitter hype, but he does seem to be a favorite on the platform right now. So I'm just going to take their word for it, to be honest. But if we do get him, I will be very excited. It just again, it's another one of those Klopp purchases, just those people that are about to explode, not spending
Yeah.
too much money, not really heard about worldwide. Like compared to like that's why I think we would go for Chouameni over Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham's well known worldwide, and it's starting to become like his starting to enter his prime years now. But no, I think it's a great signing to be honest. And again, more depth in the midfield. More depth in the midfield is what we've been crying out for, and it's more quality as well for that midfield because, of course, if we don't have that main midfielder for Fabinho, Thiago and Keita, we've got inconsistent Henderson, and then we've got Jones, who's also inconsistent. Milner, you don't know what you're going to get with him. That last game was insane. Like time before, he hasn't been that reliable. Tchouaméni seems like a very reliable midfielder, and I think if we get him, I'll be very happy.
I agree with you in the sense that, I've not really, I don't sit here and claim to watch much Monaco games, to be real. Maybe a couple Liga 1 games on a Sunday night because I know they put a lot on telly. But yeah, I've not watched too much of him, but he's certainly got a lot of hype around him. I've certainly got a lot of clubs wanting him and chasing him up. Um, all the top football experts say that, he's one of the leading young midfielders in world football right now. I think he's 22. I think he fits the structure, the transfer fees that we're looking at, that sort of 50, 60 million sweet spot that we seem to be going for right now. Again, the wages won't be a problem. Um, I've seen a lot about him since, like in terms of scout reports and heat maps and clips of him and where he plays and where he likes to dominate the pitch. And it looks like he's a very good six, but he can also play number 8 as well. So he's quite versatile in that, and that would be massively helpful for Wolves, right, Connor? Like a player that can, similar to Henderson, really. Henderson's more of an 8, and then he can play the 6 when needed, like on Saturday. But with Tchouaméni coming in, it just adds to what I've already got, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's all about depth, and it's so nice. And we keep reiterating how good it is. It's so nice to see depth finally, And there's players that we haven't even mentioned today, the likes of Curtis Jones, the likes of Oxlade-Chamberlain. I think if we were to get Tchouaméni or even Jude Bellingham, I think that is Oxlade-Chamberlain's time, unfortunately, at the club. He's given us great memories, but I think we all know the certainty of that, and it's probably the end of the line for him, which is a shame to say, obviously, but anything can happen. We've still got so much time before the transfer window. Thiago and Henderson, they're the other side of 30 now, and like you said, Ben, he's 22. He's got 3 or 4 years to develop into this player that could be the next big thing. I don't think he'd have any trouble fitting into our style, but like a lot of people have said, if you look at Henderson and Thiago's positions with an eye to the future as such, I don't think that Tchouaméni would immediately come into the side, and I think that's what he's got to think about. No, he doesn't want to hinder his progression, and obviously I'm saying that from a point of view where it's like I want him to be a Liverpool player, just like I'd love Jude Bellingham, but he's also got to think, out of all the clubs that are interested in him, where will he get the most game time? And I still think it'd be us. I think he was linked with PSG, Real Madrid, and Chelsea. I believe there were 3 that I read yesterday. Still think it should be us. I still think we have the best side for him to develop in, and I could really see him turning into a player for the future. Another player we haven't spoke about, Harvey Elliott, one for the future for us. And I love what FSG and our transfer sort of progression and what we're doing, and we're looking ahead. We're not just buying players like some teams do, where it's like, oh, we'll have him for a year and a half, 2 years. He'll be unreal for 2-3 years, and then we won't have nothing else going forward. And I think that's why Tchouaméni will be a good transfer for us. But on the other hand, I would love to see Jude Bellingham play in England and play in a Liverpool shirt.
Spot on. I feel like the Bellingham stuff, especially for right now, will be tougher because Haaland to Man City is imminent. We don't know actually how close that is because obviously, unfortunately, Villareal did pass away yesterday, and I do want to send my condolences to him and his family because, there's been a lot of stuff said about him on social media, which I think is very harsh. Like, fair enough, you might think the way he did his business wasn't the best at times, but at the end of the day, he's one of the most
Mr. Paul
successful
Clark, the
agents.
shady businessman.
Yeah, he's one of the most
Exactly.
successful football agents in the history of the game. He's got a family, he's got kids, he's got friends. So I think that a lot of the stuff that's been said about him is very wrong and cruel. But yeah, I just thought I wanted to mention that.
I think a death like that in any sort of situation, it's more important than football.
Hmm.
I think when you think
Exactly.
about something like that, you have to think about, you hate him or love him, he has a family, and like you said, he has friends, he has children. Like, I'm not sure if he had children. I didn't really know much about him. I knew obviously he had Haaland and Paul Pogba and stuff like that. But I think it's big. It's you got to think of the bigger picture. It's more than football. And like we said, our condolences are with his friends and family. But yeah, it will have a massive impact, and I think it will have a massive impact on Haaland and what he does in the summer, and how quick his turnaround will be with with another agent. Because although obviously he's lost his agent, he's still got to think about his future and what he's going to do moving forward.
Yeah, spot on. And I was just alluding to the fact that Haaland may be leaving Dortmund, and if he does, I don't see Bellingham leaving as well. I think Dortmund only tend to lose one star player a season, replace him, and the replacement for him seems to be Karim Adeyemi coming in, which is annoying because we were linked with him. But
What a player!
yeah, he looks like he's going to be a really good fit for Dortmund. I mean, they've got a sensational way of replacing their star players. They do it time and time again. But that's why I
Yeah,
don't
they
think
just let them
Bellingham
off.
will leave. Yeah, exactly. But I agree. I think Tchouaméni for the price, the wages, just everything, the profile of the player. I think it's just a match made in heaven, and we are seeing more and more French journalists and more reliable journalists coming out and confirming our interest. And we'll keep a close eye on it, and of course TAT will bring you the latest updates. So make sure you have notifications on, and yeah, just keep an eye out for those green circles because they're coming, aren't they? They're coming.
Green
What is it?
Circle season
Yeah,
starts soon anyway.
And don't
exactly. Yeah.
and don't look at the Anfield talk with 2Ks, because there was an Mbappe an Mbappe
Yeah,
discussion,
report that
which
account if you
actually
see it.
got me,
Yeah, yeah.
for a second. I almost put a very embarrassing message in the group chat to say, was this real?
Yeah,
So
report that
don't fall
account
for
if you
that.
see it, please, as a fake identity. That would be very helpful. But Dylan, coming back to you, mate. It's semi-final eve of the Champions League once again. This
Yep.
is the third time I believe we've been in this situation on the clock, which is just madness. Yeah. How are you feeling, mate? Do you feel like the job is done, or do you still think there's a big game to play tomorrow?
Uh, to be honest, our second leg performances, I know we're only looking at two this season, haven't actually been that good. It's been like average or by our standards at best. The 1-0 loss to Inter, and then the 3-3 draw. Just down to complacency, really. If we can just get an early goal, then we can just control the game like we did against Newcastle, in my opinion. It just does. I don't know about you guys. Does it feel real that like this time tomorrow we could be in like another Champions League final? Like it's three and 4 years is just surreal for this team right now.
Mm,
And that
And all
1 year,
three
of course, that we weren't in it.
finals,
The
all
one
three
year that we
finals we can
weren't
be
in
in.
it, that we we had an injury crisis. Go on, Connor.
No, I was just saying that, obviously, like you said, all three. We if we win tomorrow, that's all three finals that we could be in this year. I think
That's
no one
unbelievable.
actually appreciates that, and the stigma that everyone has against Liverpool, and the reason we're the most hated club. But you have to put into perspective. If we win tomorrow, we have reached every single final that we could achieve in one season.
that's
And no
crazy.
matter whether we win it or lose it, that is an achievement in itself, which shows our consistency and how good we've been all year. But no, sorry, Dino, I just wanted to add that before I forgot that,
Oh
because
no,
I've
yeah,
got that.
it's all good. It's all good. But in my opinion, I think this team right here is the greatest Liverpool side of all time. To be honest, we've lost 3 games all season in all competitions. One of them being like a dead rubber loss. Like we don't really care about that one. And still, like that quadruples in sight. Just imagine like we're 8 wins away from the quadruple, and like a City dropping points as well. Consider that. But yeah, I can't believe it. Another Champions League final for this team. I just really think we're going to win it this year. To be honest, I don't know about you guys.
I'm very confident, mate. I don't really. Well, I guess we can talk about the league a little bit, but I've got a strange feeling that both teams are probably going to win all the remaining games.
Yeah,
And I know that
feels
means
the same.
we fall a point short, I believe, if that happens. And if that happens, so be it. Like people will say bottle, people will say, oh, they've done it again, blah blah blah. But the way I see it is, back in January time, we didn't think we'd be sat here a point behind City. Like we were 14 points behind,
We did a
and I know,
podcast, both us two in January. We said, yeah, it's
yeah,
out of like, there's no
yeah, yeah,
chance
yeah.
now. Focus on the Champions League, and look where we are now.
Exactly, and look, I know people have all, they've been crying, saying, "Oh, they keep saying 14 points. They're not factoring games in hands." Well, in 13-14, nobody factored in games in hands. In 18-19, nobody factored in game in hands. So, believe it or not, we're now not going to care about game in hands.
Yeah,
The point,
we took
the
Yeah.
that
point
really.
gap was 14. Deal with it. And look,
Have that, you haters. The
yeah,
ones that are
we've
still
crawled
listening
it.
to our podcast don't like us.
Exactly.
We've crawled it back, haven't we? I mean, I think I saw earlier we've got 43 out of the last 45 points available, which is just
Just surreal.
ridiculous. And it would be cruel to not win it, but like I was just mentioning just then, if we don't, I'm still going to be super proud of this team after everything we came through last season to just instantly be back where we belong in terms of competing in everything. Because, like Connor says, every single final, whilst also competing for the league title, it's not really like been
90
heard
plus
of.
points as well.
Yeah, in at least in recent time. Um, but in terms of the game tomorrow, because I went on a bit of a tangent there, I feel like obviously the players and the manager are gonna take it super serious, like you'd expect them to. Um, Klopp made so many changes in the last game, which I think it's pretty obvious that it's going to be the first strongest possible lineup that we can play tomorrow. So I'm confident. I feel like we've already got one foot in Paris. I just don't see a world where this team bottles a 2-goal lead against Villareal. And, all due respect to them, they've done incredibly well to get to this stage, beating Juventus, beating Bayern Munich. And now,
Built difference.
exactly. And I read, it's funny you should say that because I read that Alberto Moreno was telling them that okay, guys, we've beaten Juventus, we've beaten Bayern Munich, but this Liverpool team that we're facing now is another level. And we're proving it. But do you guys have any nerves at all? Like, because every single Champions League semi, I was talking to Connor about this before we start recording. Everyone we've had so far, I have been crapping it all through that week. The whole build up has been awful. But now tonight, I'm just sitting here relaxed as anything, thinking like we are going to get this done and we are going to be another final. But do you guys have any nerves, like if they get the first goal or anything like that?
To be honest, no. I hope our words are just unsweetened by this. I don't know what it is. 2-0. We've been so good at controlling leads and not bottling anything as of recently. If we just get that early goal in the first half, done. Like it's over. That's all that I want the team to focus on tomorrow. Just getting that early goal so we can rest players more importantly because there are still games ahead, crucial games ahead of us. But, no, I can't believe it. A Champions League semi-final, and I'm genuinely not nervous, not thinking about it.
Yeah, Connor, you the same, mate? Super confident in this team?
We've played 56 games this year and lost 3. And we've never lost by more than 2 goals. I don't think you really need to ask me anything else really. That in itself is that.
I know, yeah.
And let's put no, I am confident. Like
And
we
losing
said,
by
we spoke
2
about it
goals
earlier.
takes us to extra time as well. It's not as though losing by 2 goals like we're out. We still have that
No.
chance at extra time if we do losing by 2 goals.
And obviously the away goals, obviously no away goals, and that's been a good factor this year as well. But
Exactly.
no, I'm not nervous. I obviously, if you ask me tomorrow, if I join the space tomorrow and you do it, and you ask me at 7 o'clock, maybe I will be a little bit. Maybe, because there's always a sense of anything can happen. Football is football, and but just how good we are at the moment and how good this side has been, there's not much really. There's not much that I believe could stop us winning tomorrow. So no, I'm quietly confident, but don't ask me at 7 tomorrow because it might be a little bit different.
Yeah, I was going to do predicted lineups, but I don't think there's really much point because we like I said, we know from the players that didn't play against Newcastle, they're all going to come back in. But yeah, do you guys have anything to say about the team that could play tomorrow? Anyone that you that might be surprising that you think will play, or do you just think it's literally
I
straightforward
kind of
with
want
Ali,
Shimikas to play
Robbo?
if he's available.
Yeah, no, I wanted Tsimikas to play before now, to be honest. Like Newcastle, I said I wouldn't mind if he played. The first leg of this, I think he could have easily played. But yeah, I mean, Klopp's obviously trusting Robbo to get the job done because he's the best left back in the country, if not the world. So yeah, I agree. But yeah, anyone else like what the centre back thing? Where do you guys stand with that? Because Ibu's getting a lot of praise right now, rightfully so. But do you think for these games, Joel Matip comes back in?
He hasn't
No,
lost in a
Canate.
Liverpool shirt. Think of it
It's
that way.
true.
Kanate
Yeah,
hasn't
yeah, it's
lost in
true.
any game that he's played. I think Matip again come in Saturday and was very good, and you know to have that rotation is again we speak about it a lot. It's phenomenal to have that. We haven't had that for a while before. I think Kanate starts for me. I think he starts in any big game. I think he starts in most games now to the run up at the end of the season. He definitely starts for me in the FA Cup final, and he definitely starts in the Champions League final if we get there. I think there's other games where you can play Matip. I think make no mistake about it. There's other games for the rest of the season that Kanate can be rested. I think he could probably be rested against Villa, possibly Southampton. But yeah, I don't know what Dylan thinks, but I think Kanate and Van Dijk, they're the two that start for me.
I think what Klopp's going for is Canate in the Champions League, and he has generally been one of our best players this knockout stage. And I think if we do win the competition, he's a serious contender for UEFA Defender of the Season. Canate. I think Klopp's enjoying having him in the Champions League and then rotating with Matip when it comes to the Premier League. So I'm fine with that. Canate can start tomorrow. I don't know about you, Ben. Are you happy with that, or are you gonna make any other changes?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm happy with either, mate. It's got to that point now where Konate has proven to me he can play against anyone, and I'd be confident. He's just got that. He's just a beast, like physically, and he's got the pace. He can play a ball as well. Like he's not bad with his feet. He can dribble. He can bring it forward. So he's got all the attributes that tick the boxes for me. Midfield wise. So what was it the weekend? It was Hendo, Milner, and Naby. So obviously, I could see Thiago coming back in. Of course, I think that's a given. And then I think it's probably going to be Fabinho, Henderson, and then maybe I don't know what we'll do against Spurs. Actually, I haven't really thought that far, but I think I think he's going to go with his trusted Fab, Hendo, Thiago. But it just wouldn't be a surprise if we did go NFT. And I wouldn't be against that in any situation. But front three guys, what are you saying? Because obviously Mane has been incredible up front this season when he's been asked to. And then obviously, like one of you, I can't remember who it was, alluded to at the start, Luis Diaz coming in and just being absolutely incredible. And obviously Salah is just Salah. So were you guys expecting? Jota's not really had that many minutes, although he played at the weekend. But do you think it's Diaz, Mane, Salah, or is it something different for you? Look,
That's our go-to front three at the moment. I think
yeah, I agree.
that
Yeah,
that is our best front three. They all accommodate each other well. No weak links. Mane links up really well with Diaz and Salah, and Diaz is just on incredible form at the moment. I think that's our front three to go to be honest.
Connor, do you agree, mate? Is that our front three that
Uh,
we're gonna have to stick with?
I think you could play Minamino, Origi, and Kai Gordon, and I think they'd still make an impact. Um, no, obviously, I read your tweet earlier. Obviously, you said who we didn't see at training, and obviously there was the report about Firmino still not being fit, which is a shame. Obviously, we haven't really seen much of him recently, but no, that front three has been remarkable. Mane, Salah, and Luis Diaz. Name a better January signing in recent times, and I think he has to be probably the best January signing
Yeah.
across the European leagues. But then even the likes of Jota. I mean, how many goals has he got this year? And there was a lot of talk about him not making a big enough impact in games. That's why he's not starting. And possibly people are correct when they say that. But still, to have that option on the bench, and I believe I read earlier that Origi's out anyway with a virus, so he's doubtful, which will be a shame because we won't see much of him before, the talks of AC Milan. But like I saw on Twitter yesterday, it will be an Origi 120th minute winner if it does go the distance
Oh, please
in the
don't put that
Champions
thought in
League
my head.
final.
Please,
Well,
please
no,
don't.
me and Ben were discussing this earlier before we started the pod because obviously we had a little bit of time. And we were saying, neither of us were comfortable until Origi scored that goal against Tottenham. And I've seen so much on my TikTok and so much on my Twitter of moments where Origi has been exceptional and has done things for this club. And we haven't really spoke about it on the podcast because it's not a definite answer, a definitive answer yet. It would be he's done a lot. He's done a lot. He
He's the
will
biggest cult
go
hero I think we've ever had. Like
exactly,
cult
and he
heroes
is
give
so
us a reason.
underrated. He's
Exactly.
very underrated. He would go and do what Tammy Abraham has done at Roma. If he gets the Milan move, and so be it if he goes, and if that's what he wants to do, he will score goals in that league and he'll score goals
Oh,
for
definitely,
Milan.
yeah.
And people undermine him and look at him differently because he's playing behind 5 players who are world class: Jota, Mane, Salah, Diaz, and Firmino when Firmino was fit and was fully match fit and everything. You're behind 5 players there, and you struggle to get a look in. But at a different club and at a different standard, especially at Milan, I think he will excel, and people will start to realise just how good he can be on his day. Because even in Belgium, he doesn't really get a look in because you have the likes of Lukaku, Carrasco, and people like that.
Yeah, I agree. And whatever happens with Divock, and it's pretty confirmed that he will be leaving in the summer. We'll miss him, and it was good to see he got his goal the other night. But yeah, it will be a sad day, no matter how much he's played this season or how little he's played this season. We'll thank him for the memories, and a lot of things wouldn't have happened without Divock, especially the Champions League. So we'll always be grateful for that. But yeah, we've got so much to look forward to. Champions League still intact, FA Cup final, which again we haven't even spoken about today much, but there will be a podcast for that nearer the time, of course. We've just got to keep believing, keep taking it game by game, keep hoping that City drop points somewhere and that we are ready to pounce, which I believe we will be. But yeah, guys, thank you for listening. If you've made it to this point, please make sure you're following us on TAT. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, put your notifications on so you never miss a podcast. And to Connor and Dylan, thank you boys for joining me once again. Appreciate your time. And we will see you guys next time to talk more about the best club in the land. So take care and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, mate.